thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, László, for the introduction. And first, we're gonna show in a moment a pitch deck. But what is this about in the first place? So how this this came about? László and I, one of our challenges on a daily life is to make sure we find good talent for our team, good cybersecurity talent. We have a great team, but as we grow, we constantly need to evolve it. There are new projects, and as we were looking at the recruitment challenges, we discussed with others in the industry, and there seemed to be a consensus that there is a difficulty and a gap. There are students that graduate from various universities. They have various types of knowledge, and then if you want a certification that kind of gives like a basis of achievement that would be more uniform, you have to wait 5 years. It's called the CISSP. And one could argue that even with CISSP, it's not totally uniform, but I think that the consensus is if you have a CISSP, it means something. Certainly for me, even though I have 3 master's degrees, CISSP was the hardest certification I ever had to do. So, I mean, I must say, maybe it's just I'm not that good, I don't know, but it was hard. But I think we can all agree that if you pass the CISSP, you have both a lot of knowledge on policy, on compliance, and on technology, from encryption all the way to understanding, how to approach governance around cybersecurity. And we were wondering how to close this gap, how to ensure that higher education institutions are able to give more consistency in the way teaching is done. And luckily, we've been doing now for over 5 years a number of research projects with some really strong institutions, some in the US and some in Hungary. And that gave us kind of a breeding ground for brainstorming ideas. And one of the institutions was PTE, the Pécsi Tudományegyetem in Hungarian. That's the University of Pécs, which is a beautiful city in southern Hungary. It's actually the farthest place you can go, farthest large place you can go in time from Budapest. So László and I are actually traveling on a regular basis. But basically, as we were going into this journey, we realized that there isn't like a great lab environment for teaching the students, so allowing them to practice cybersecurity, where to deploy the exercises to do, and then as we start building it, we realized that in the US there is a small organization that nobody ever heard of, the NSA, but they heard of us. Basically, they have different tracks for universities to be certified for their cybersecurity education. And they have a very interesting set of, and very thorough set of prerequisites that as a university in the US you need to reach in order to be NSA certified for your cyber program. And so we realized that what we were building here with PTE was actually very well aligned with what the NSA wanted. And so we decided to go all the way because our university partners in the US, they happened to be already NSA certified. And so they wanted that the partnership with us and our lab that we will present today is compatible with that certification, is compatible with the curriculum. So this is kind of the background of how we started. And László put together this pitch deck. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over and let's get through the pitch deck.
Hello, I'm László Rácz, and I am one of the person who actually built the lab with Krzysztof. And this pitch deck is actually on the web page as well, so if you want to revisit, you can do it anytime by clicking on the pitch deck button. So, both myself and Krzysztof actually have home labs at home, and I think Johannes and you also have that. And we had all kinds of challenges over the years. And when we realized that there is a lot of people who just want to have their own home lab, kind of, but doesn't have the expertise or the time and so on, doesn't really have any proper solution yet, we started to develop something which we call NewPush Labs. So I think we both tired of spending hours configuring our IT lab in a way that we are just not proud of it, since I think we can agree that everyone's home lab is in a shape which doesn't really, let's say, public, kind of. So most of the time it doesn't reflect our abilities of work-related qualities, kind of. But anyway, so our home labs can be way better than by default we are using it, and what we try to achieve here is to create some easy to repeat unified way for creating home labs. So since setting up your own home lab is complex, it's time consuming, it's going to evolve over the years, and it's not something you are easy to share with someone else. So you have to do it alone, kind of. And as time goes on, you just keep adding services and due to the lack of time and lack of guidance, you will probably end up with a messy wreck, kind of. So there is a better way, and we were thinking about what could be the better way. Both Krzysztof and myself, we spend a significant amount of time browsing Reddit during work hour, and actually browsing GitHub as well to find solutions. And we didn't really find a proper solution. There were a couple of people who was trying to do something similar, but with a different tool set, or just not following best practices or the modern open source ways. So what could you have is a home lab which just works out of the box. It's secure and it's fully configured. It's easy to expand since we define how to add additional services and how to share those additional services and pieces of configuration items you are add over time. And we're building this in a way to support both newcomers, so who doesn't really have the deep expertise of computer systems in general, so end users, kind of, and in a way to also support industry veterans and provide them a platform which is good for all timers as well. So you can start your own lab within a couple of minutes. It depends on your network speed, kind of. And you will instantly see all the metrics in fancy dashboards, since we also pre-configure the additional stuff, the monitoring, the metric collection for the services you're going to deploy. And we also give you all kinds of tools to access your home lab securely anywhere from the world, since it can be hosted online with best practices in mind. Yeah, and we have a fancy UI just to have something to click around. So what we did, we take decades of home lab experience, and we started to think about how we could do it better. It saves times, we reduce the complexity that way, and we empower you to learn. Since most of us build the home labs to try out new stuff, to play with software or projects, or sometimes even to host critical pieces of applications for our lives, next to the next big thing we are secretly develop. So if you are a student, a professional, or just someone who wants to try open source software, for example, with NewPush Labs, we think you are covered. So with NewPush Labs, you are going to get some predefined lab stacks. So what we do is top of the base system, we are on a weekly basis, we are creating new stacks for the trendy open source softwares. And we provide a web UI for that, so it just works out of the box. You don't have to spend time configuring the new open source software or applications you want to try out. It just works. And we also configure it in a way to make you able to monitor them properly, so you don't have to skip that part, since probably you wouldn't do that, right? And we do it in a way which is fully transparent. So it's not like we give you something black boxed. It's fully transparent as its infrastructure as a code. It's a set of Ansible scripts, Docker containers, so you can read everything. And actually, if it's something which needs to be configured within an application itself, we provide them scripts, Python scripts, which will do the configuration, or in some cases, just edit the database. So these lab stacks are predefined environments for specific purposes, like workflow labs, for example, or AI, large language, web development, DevOps-related kind of stuff. So this way you can evaluate newer technologies, since the open source version of some software sometimes takes several days to fully configure it. But with this, you just spin it up and you are able to compare multiple workflow engines within a couple of minutes, kind of. And then if you, let's say, if you keep at the workflow example, you can choose which one you like and create your own personal automatizations, which you can run in the lab. So that's what we try to achieve here. And to reassure everyone that it's worth your time, we publish it as an open source project, so it's going to stay. And that's it. It's well documented on the web, and the source is free.
So, Gabor, if you could cue the presentation. Thank you very much for the pitch deck, László. Again, I want to insist on this last point that we made it completely free, and so anyone can download this lab. And today we actually are presenting another technology. And László, I tripped you up a little bit because we did a last-minute addition with Milan. So Milan, do you want to just join us here? And Milan is from the University of Óbuda, and they have a very nice complementary tool. Yeah, you can just launch this one. And they have a very nice complementary tool. We get there, and then before we go into BlackAnt, which is the name of the tool from Óbuda, we also gonna have. I'm very proud to have Sandeep, who's one of our users, or one of our kind of experiences of interacting with us in terms of this new technology that we developed. Sandeep is really new to it, but very excited about it. So when I told her, would you hop on from New York and hop on the plane and talk just a few words about it? She's like, sure, Balázs, but what am I going to say? And I said, no problem. I'm going to put it on the teleprompter for you, and you have nothing to think about. So she agreed, but I tripped her up. She'll have to actually say her own ideas. So anyway, let's see if this is a better tool. This one or the main button? Which? Arrows? Okay. All right. So just a little bit about NewPush. We are a very small but international company. This is actually our 25th year anniversary here, which is amazing because it's also the 25th year anniversary of NewPush entering NATO. So obviously, NewPush entering NATO is a more important event than the birth of NewPush, but it's still good to be in good company. And by now we're operating in 3 main continents: Europe, North America, and South America. And the main cities where we are based is Budapest, Denver, and Santiago. Denver and Santiago, is important to know that there's wonderful weather and wonderful snow. So for those of us who are skiers or snowboarders, we can enjoy that. A couple of our clients over the years, and a little bit another side of the story that László was just going through the pitch deck. How did we get there? a quick run through of our 25 years, and I'm going to do it very, very short. But the point is that cybersecurity has been always a challenge. And as we started in infrastructure as a service, very quickly we faced the challenge of having to solve vulnerabilities for customers very, very fast. So one time, for example, we were hosting the #1 jazz website in the world. Well, guess what? The #2 jazz website in the world had fans who would hire Russian hackers to hack. So we had basically 40 minutes to patch a vulnerability between the time it appeared and the time they would be able to hack. It's an average. So we had to get really good really fast. And then we realized that there is a better way. And as we're discussing with Gartner is much better at coming up with names and processes and marketing around new concepts. So Gartner called it CTEM, which is the Continuous Threat Exposure Management, which is how you take vulnerability management, vulnerability prioritization to the next level. We thought that philosophically this was very well aligned, and this is actually the lab that László just discussed. We built it so that we can teach the students the continuous threat exposure management, which is a more mature way of dealing with the risk, the cyber risk in the enterprise. So the lab's problem, László actually did it much better. I just have a few other aspects of it. But in my introduction, I mentioned that, so we don't have to go over it one more time. But some of the requirements that we had, that we gave ourselves for this lab, so what László just presented, we wanted to make sure that, one, I mentioned about the NSA requirements, but also we want to get a level playing field, because the students, they come from various backgrounds. Some of them are very familiar with public-private key encryption, things like that, and some of them can barely SSH into a Linux server. Okay, and so because we're teaching cybersecurity, we want to make sure that there is no that we level the playing field, and those who have maybe weaknesses in some aspects of technology, they are not disadvantaged in learning the concepts in cybersecurity that I wanted to teach. So one of the things that László will show a little later is how easy we make it for you're not super cool with SSH, no problem. There is a click away that we can make it work for you. The other part that we noticed, that it's actually in our conversation a really big challenge for universities, is to be able to ingest real-world scenarios into the teaching. Why? Because universities have the theoretical knowledge, and the industry has the actual real-world data, but the industry is usually not willing to share. So we have the advantage of being like a huge provider with our own security operations center, with our own data that we know how to obfuscate. We can take the data, we can even take the tickets or those events that guys like Krzysztof or László have to actually solve, and their teams under stressful situations, and then we can translate that into a real-world inspired problem to students who get to solve it in a week, like not under the stress of you got to solve this in the next 2 hours and bring this website back and get the attackers out, but you have a week to figure out how it's done, so that when you actually get into a stressful situation, you've seen it before. And then the other piece that László alluded to, but I wanted to highlight, is that these labs, and László calls it the home lab because it's a category, it exists. But those of you who don't understand that category, it's basically something that's self-contained, that doesn't need any external dependencies, so that you can fire it up on any computer, or you can fire it up in the cloud, and it has everything you need. So, okay, what was the goal? And again, one of the things for teaching to be interesting, we need to make sure that the scenarios are immersive and they're interesting for students. So we have to kind of gamify a little bit teaching the cybersecurity, and also give the opportunity for the universities to collaborate and to create a lot of different activities. Like, for example, Peter here in the audience, you are a co-organizer of a number of events for students where students get to compete or students get to collaborate. And I think, Milan, you as well in a sister university. So all these are items that we wanted to bring into it. So we also envision that because of the open sourcing of the tool can then open up to be bigger than just within a country, bigger than just within a set of universities. But our vision is to make this a worldwide community because we lift all the hurdles. There's no financial constraints. You can download it for free and you can become part of the community. Okay, so László mentioned a little bit about configuring lab, and because we are going to have a real life demo, I'm going to skip over these slides, right, László? Yeah, and but there is, you know, just you see somewhat the some of the examples of how you take away the complexity, and many of you who are listening, maybe online or who are here in the audience, you're like, I can do this, and I know many of you can do it. But you also remember that it could take you an afternoon. Sometimes you do it in 10 minutes, sometimes the whole afternoon. And as you grow in your career, and I have you know, our previous presenter, Johannes, who is like nodding here in the audience, that yes, I can do it, but yes, it can take a lot of time. So having something that saves time, it may be very interesting. The other thing that is there is that it's repeating, like every single tool you want to do the same thing. So you want to make it work with your SSO, the single sign-on, so that all the tools are then part of your same identity management. So if you set up a team, the same team has access to everything the same way. You also want to basically make it so that when you expand this, it would work. So again, I'm going to skip over. László just presented that part, the stacks, and it's going to be more interesting to actually see them real life. And a couple of case studies, since László asked us to do case studies, so we have to oblige Mr. MC. So one of them was how are we gonna teach CTEM? So normally on a longer presentation, I actually go and explain what CTEM is. This is, again, I mentioned Gartner came up with this process and how you take the risk management to the next level. So I'm not going to spend time on that. You guys can look it up. But basically how we teach CTEM, that was one of our use cases. And especially because a large enterprise has the maturity level where they can relatively easily deploy CTEM. But for a small, medium-sized business, it is very challenging. Challenging because you don't get to buy the same tools necessarily. So somebody has to curate a stack for you. So curating the stack in the lab environment is one of them. And then the other challenge is you can't easily hire the same type of cybersecurity experts as large organizations can. And so taking this as the example, we can take, you know, all these enterprise-grade problems and bring them down to the student level, and that student actually can start working at a small, medium-sized business and be as effective as some of the experts in large enterprises. In fact, I would argue maybe sometimes better, because even in the large enterprises, they don't always have that Gartner maturity level. So here's another use case where we basically, this is one of those long-term, another example of a company where we have less than 40 minutes to patch or to solve for a vulnerability. This is a transportation district, and it's a public transportation district, and as you can imagine, they are servicing an area of 2 million people. Amongst the 2 million people, you will always find people who are upset. And among the people who are upset, there may be some who are geek enough that they want to somehow take revenge and take down the system. So especially when new lines are opening, some people take That's their fun, to try to take out the website and cause problems. So that was one of the examples how we brought it up on the CTEM concept. But more so, what's really interesting is, especially when you are in this hybrid environment that also Johannes alluded to, in complex environments, to replicate the environment is really hard. And this lab that was designed now, creating a stack that replicates the complicated environment, and then you can replicate the lab so that each member of your team can work with the same stack, but completely safely, and start playing. So even it is expandable to even IoT. And then the last one is the Cybersecurity Awareness Program, which we can also leverage aspects of the stack that would go more into the AI side, because the attackers are using AI. And so how do you set up some of the AI capabilities? In this case, the actual software used for the protection is KnowBe4, which is one of the better known and most advanced security awareness technologies. We will go a little bit under the hood, but I thought we had, yeah, because I have a few slides for you, Sandeep, but I don't know where they are, so we'll see. László, do you want to talk about this a little bit, or under the hood? Okay, we will show the, okay. Okay, so Krzysztof, you talk about it, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. So when we were... Okay, now it's working. Okay, so when we were designing the lab, we had some crucial questions to ourselves, that how we are going to do that and this. So we needed a secure network operation. First, we wanted to design a secure lab stack, but it went over to a whole home lab situation, and we wanted to provide better separation between stacks too. Extensible stack management was crucial. We have easy ways, we have found easy ways to deploy more and more different stacks you can use for your education. And also, SSL provisioning was crucial, as when you open something up to the internet, you need to encrypt all the traffic you can. And there were some difficulties when we did that in large amounts. And also the automated the VM deployments are also must-have for these kind of deployments. We are saving so much time because of our scripts. Okay, so yes, initially we wanted to simulate corporate grade networks for security scans and security assessments, but after that we have found that Docker's networking is great for separation, basic network configuration, and if you deep dive to in Docker's network drivers are awesomely customizable, and it's great because you can deploy so much subnets or so much IP ranges within seconds. So everything has their own space. Okay, so what we was thinking that for these open source lab, we need to reuse open source segments or open source projects, and the best way to do that is to collect them into Docker Compose projects, and we can customize them, create them boilerplates or templates, and everyone can select what they want to deploy. They can easily customize their own stack, and this is the easy way to bring up your little setup. And also we have various UIs, including Port Trainer and another open source tool called Doggy. Basically, in this way, you can deploy entire Docker stacks or Docker Compose stacks without breaking your time clock. So it's an intuitive way. Everyone can use it, and it's just a few clicks. Okay, so when we started to deploy the labs for the first users, first students, we had some issues with Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt is a great project because it provides free SSL certifications to everyone on the internet. It has some limitations, but unfortunately it wasn't suitable for us because it has strict rate limit appliances, and we weren't able to issue that many wildcard or individual SANs. And because of that, we needed to look into other ACME-compatible SSL providers. We were able to try out some ones. We tried out Google PKI as well, but the selection went to Zero SSL. Zero SSL is great as well because it's not that huge and popular as Let's Encrypt, but actually it's using Sectigo's root CA, so it's trusted on all major or basically all devices. Okay, and regarding automation, the whole lab itself automated, so you can deploy it very quickly. László created a very strong base in Ansible for that, and it's just a really industry standard for creating automated deployment for that. For various deployments, we have selected various HashiCorp products. So we stayed inside an ecosystem. We used Packer for creating different system images. You can build raw files within seconds and bring it over to your all to your hypervisor clusters if you need to. We use Terraforms. Basically, we plan to use Terraform for cloud providers. Currently, we are able to deploy the apps to Google Cloud Platform without any issues, and it's within minutes to be completed. So these automations are really doing good jobs. We plan to use we plan to support all the big cloud suppliers, and also BlackAnt. So when we needed to test out new features or new feature sets, it was a little bit hard to start over, spin up a new VM every time. So BlackAnt is a great tool to automatically spin up a virtual machine on your local computer. It works on macOS, works on Linux, works on Windows 2. We have VirtualBox and VMware support. And as of 2 days, and on Wednesday, Broadcom also announced that the VMware workstation is free for commercial use too. So that's a suitable solution for everyone too, not just individuals. Yeah, and also for our buyer SMB hosting provider, we have created packages on our SMB customer managers, so the customers can deploy their own home labs within a few minutes. They just order the service, and they have the new one provisioned. And as László also mentioned, this was being used firstly in PTA, University of Pécs, Hungary, so already a couple dozen students are using it. Okay, and in the near future, as I mentioned, we plan to support all the major cloud providers. We want to implement a tunneling mechanism. Currently, you need to have a public IP or public hostname that is pointing to your lab because of the easier SSL configuration, the automatizations. So this is something we are looking into, and we need to publish new packages to our SMB packages. But basically, this is what under the hood. Thank you.
Okay, let's keep going. Thank you, Krzysztof. So this is you are presenting this in a very modest way because this was a lot of work. This is a lot of work, a lot of long nights, and a lot of trial and error. Also, it was amazing to work with the University of Pécs, because the students were giving us great feedback, you know, and as being the first semester, we had items to iron out, and really the quality of the students mattered a lot to get the right feedback that we needed to keep László on his toes, me on my toes, and then Krzysztof, you were supporting us from Budapest as we were in Pécs in front of the students to get it done. Every Monday we're running a live session with the lab, and then throughout the week the students are using that. What I wanted to do is to invite Sandeep to say a few words, you know, about your thoughts on that type of lab, and just the background, you know, that you are a VP, you're a business person, you're also a student, and you also like to play with new technologies. So do you want to hand the mic to Sandeep? And maybe, Sandeep, if you can just start by saying, please come join me. What do you do in your daily life, you know, in this skyscraper in New York?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandeep, and I'm a VP at Innova Solution, which is an IT consulting firm. We are like about 3 billion in revenue, 50,000 employees all around the world, and I lead their blockchain division. I'm head of blockchain at Innova Solution. And the other thing I do, I'm into venture funds, so at Tantrum Ventures, where I work with the digital asset startups on fundraising and strategic partnerships. So that's my day-to-day focus. I live in New York City, and yeah, so these two things keeps me very, very busy all day. And just recently, 2 weeks ago, actually, Balazs, László, and Colleen, we all were working together on one very big project. We just finished it last week.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Last week, Thursday, Friday. So happy to be here.
So you just saw the presentation, and how do you feel about being able to deploy a lab like that on your laptop?
I would be really, really kind of, to me in blockchain, one of the things when we talk about custody, right? When I was in your class, we talked about custody. And also now something that I'm actively really looking into, AI agents, right? Deploying AI agents, and especially using that for trading. Right? That's, I think, the new thing. So for me, I would be really excited to kind of play with it and how I can use AI to run some of the bots for trading, also kind of take help from the agents, and we can improve like the custody side of it. Yeah.
Excellent. So you're in luck, because László at the end will have a little bit of the demo. We'll end with demoing the platform. And I don't know if you'll have to walk behind there or how you can do that. But what we will do next is we'll spend, because we have still some time left, and show another aspect of a lab that's a complementary lab. So very interestingly, Óbuda has been working on a complementary project. So this is how you explore, how you test, how you experiment. How to create new things, as László mentioned. And now you created your new things. How are you going to scale? So that's the question that Óbuda is answering. So let me see if I can you, yeah, okay. So here we go, BlackAnt. So you're on.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Milan Balázs, and I'm from Óbuda University, and I would like to talk about the BlackAnt platform. So very briefly, what is it? BlackAnt platform is a microservice-based, high-available execution platform with a dynamical scaling, and it is directly designed for the researchers and for the resourceful calculations and operations. And yes, if you would like to set up a new system or deploy a new system, then there are many points which have to be solved. So, for example, the public clouds are expensive. So, if you probably you are familiar with the big cloud providers like the Google Cloud or Azure or AWS, then if you are not a real IT expert, then it could be quite expensive. And yes, and the high available and the scalable system, it's hard to set up, and deep IT knowledge is needed. And of course, the security and the scaling are also very important points, and these points require very deep IT knowledge. And actually, our BlackAnt platform could be a solution for these points. So the key points of the platform: simple to use. So a couple of days training could be enough. So if somebody wants to use our platform, the deep IT or programming skills are not needed. So the platform provides a very simple framework for the developers. And it is a very simple state machine with the usual states: setup, run, tear down, result, and that's it. And actually very big and complex projects can be migrated to this platform. Doesn't break the bank, so you should pay what you use. And actually that's it. Furthermore, you can integrate your resource under the platform. So it is very easy and simple. So you have to fill out one configuration file and click, and that's it. The platform will be able to use your resource. As I mentioned, there is no really deep IT skills, even the DevOps or DevSecOps. So the platform has own DevOps flows. These flows are integrated, so the developers or users shouldn't care about the DevOps and the CI flows. The system is robust, high availability. So if you have the required infrastructure, then you don't need to care about the high availability. The system is designed for the high available operation. And scalable. As I mentioned, there is a dynamical scaling. And if the traffic is high, or if you have a calculation which is really resourceful, then the system dynamically or automatically scaling the system and the infrastructure under the platform. Yes, here are some features. The task level management, it is related to the authentication and authorization. So we have a very modern authentication and the authorization. So we can decide which user has which resource, and so on and so on. And we use the out-of-the-box components where it is needed, so we don't want to invite the wheel again. And as I mentioned, we have a predefined project template, which is a very simple state machine and the dynamical scaling. And if you see this diagram, of course, under the hood, there is a very complex implementation and system. But if we see the user side, then it is a really simple flow. Geek Paradise, you can see the key points of the platform. Coding skill is not needed for the end users, so the developers can implement the calculations, and the end users, like the researchers, only has to start the calculation with the defined configuration or files or data set. Python 3 is supported language right now, but we plan to extend the supported languages. Modern UI and the RESTful API are available. So based on the users' feedback, we continuously develop the UI and the RESTful API. We have additional services like the MongoDB, MinIO, and SMTP services. If the user has permission to use these services, then yeah, these can be used. We have periodical schedules for the late time or periodic, for the periodic runs. We have real-time monitoring and the backup services, so the data is safe and reproducible, high available, and the dynamical scaling based on the resource. What is under the hood? So I don't want to tell something about all of the technologies, but you can see we use many technologies, and we try to select the most efficient technologies for the different areas, and actually everything runs in containers, and the Docker Swarm is the orchestrator for it, and there are many nodes, so the physical servers or a virtual servers under the platform. So here is a possible infrastructure for the platform. Actually, this infrastructure is implemented for the university usage, and as you can see, the manager nodes, worker nodes, and the database nodes are separated, and if we have enough resource, then the platform is able to use or scale up to the high available. And as you can see, the infrastructure can be extended by external resources like the Hetzner high available load balancer. It is a German-based cloud provider, and as you can see the right side, the OE, this is a Óbuda University resources are also included, and the other one cloud is a Hungarian cloud provider. So actually the different availability zones are possible to integrate it to the platform. How does it play? It's a very simple diagram. You can see here the developer can implement the calculation itself, and the end user, for example, the researchers only should use the web UI or the RESTful API, and any other things are done by the platform. Of course, the developer and the end user could be the same person. Actually, here is the same but a bit detailed diagram. I think it is not important. Yeah, the dynamical scaling. So actually, we are talking about the Docker Swarm and the Docker containers. So actually, if we want to run a task, a service, then it can be replicated between the nodes. So the system is able to detect if the load is very high. In that case, it will create a new replica, and if there is enough resource under the hood, then the different replicas will be running on different nodes, so the servers. And I have to say, nowadays we work on this topic to be able to scale horizontally as well as vertically the resource under the platform. I would like to show some real use cases. So I have to say these are real use cases. These are implemented by the PhD students and the researchers, and these are running in the system right now as well. So here is a use case when the platform is integrated to the smartwatch with the API in JavaScript, and it collects the data from the smartwatch, right? The blood pressure and so on and so on and so on. And it is stored in a data collector, which is a MongoDB in the BlackAnt platform. And actually the users can fetch the data after some processing. Here is another use case when the calculation converts the handwritten documents to the LaTeX format, and actually this research focuses on especially on the mathematical formulas to convert to LaTeX format, and you can see here we have the object storage. This is a min.io, and the users can use the min.io as object storage, so they don't need to store very big files on the local computer. Another one, for example, as I mentioned, the platform is designed for the very resourceful operations. So mainly it is used for the AI, machine learning, deep learning, big data. And here is a use case when the model training is done inside the platform. And for example, the files are stored in the min.io, for example, the H5 model files. Yes, it is very similar, but here is not the training in the focus, just the prediction, AI-based prediction. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much for presenting this BlackAnt project. It was really a pleasure to discover that there is this parallel effort in another prestigious Hungarian university at Óbuda that does a complementary work to the lab. So now, László, if you don't mind to go over to the laptop where you can demo, right? No? And while László is getting ready to take over the screen, I just wanted to say that we're going to go back a little bit now to examples of using the lab, how you can use the lab. I want to demystify using that lab, so that I started that with Sandeep coming up. She's a VP, a businesswoman, and you see that she is not afraid of using the lab. So hopefully many in the audience, you guys will give it a try as well. You don't have to be a geek. You can be a geek, obviously. And we have others in the audience who are home lab experts, and they still are interested in using the lab. So we will kind of show you how easy it is as soon as László is ready. And in the meantime, what else can I say? So I was actually personally very excited as we did it, and the fact that we could open source. This is our first open source project at NewPush after 25 years. It was always in the plan that we contribute something, but it's not easy to create an open source project because it's not enough to just write some code and put it up with a GPL license or LGPL license or whatever, because you actually have to build a community, you have to build documentation, you have to make it easy to use, and you have to make people want to use it so that the project can take a life of its own. So László and I have been on a roadshow in the US and in Hungary to show that to different universities and in the industry. We got very positive feedback so far. And so I hope you guys, as you will see now the live demo from László, you will enjoy that. And I'm sorry about for the cameraman, but you have to switch in an unexpected way. Hopefully it will work out. Thank you, everybody. László, you're on.
Okay. So one of the problems with open source project is you actually have to produce quality code, which will be seen by others. And the another issue with them is you actually has to create some kind of documentation which will be actually read by others. So here we try to address both of the issues. So first of all, we created a website which explains in different levels what actually going on. So you can visit it on the labs.newpush.com. We have a couple of guides. It's a work in progress, so it's a new project, but there are a couple of tutorials already how you can use your lab for different activities. So, for example, how can save resources by start and stop containers on demand, or how to use your lab as a tail-scale exit node, and so on. And we also have a reference section where we have a comprehensive documentation for all the modules, actually, with the necessary configuration. So for people like Johansson, you will find all the settings here, and for people who are not that tech savvy, they just have to use the application launcher and the high-level UIs. So this is an instance of a lab. As in the presentation we told you, you can spin it up with a set of scripts. So there is an installation section somewhere in the documentation. Anyways.
Actually, László, what I would just want to step in very briefly, that so if downloading the open source code is a little bit intimidating, we have that available as a ready-to-go package, and there is a URL where you can actually sign up for it and just get the lab deployed for you and running, if in case you don't feel like downloading the open source, right?
Yes, exactly. Since we can also host the lab for you, and you will be also able to spin it up in various cloud marketplaces as well, like AWS or GCP. But right now, you just need to open a ticket at our side, and we will spin a lab for you as well. And in the very near future, you will be able to provision a hosted version of the lab by yourself. So, okay, so this is my lab, actually, which already have a set of applications running. The base lab actually consists just a couple of icons: the traffic, the CAS door, yeah, maybe the top row, and the monitoring part, kinda, and this one.
And László, if you don't mind going just back up. So this is an example, like the Visual Studio Code. That's where you can code. So some of you know, but some of you don't. So this is one of the things that the NSA requires, that people know how to program. The NSA does not accept your cybersecurity skills if you only have theoretical skills, but you don't know how to code up some of the exploits or some of the configurations.
Yes, so in this case, for example, the end user most of the time doesn't need access to VS Code, so we don't run it all the time. We have a component in place called Cellular, which will just start this VS Code instance for us, hopefully. It will. Right?
And while it's starting, you can show something else.
Yes. Yeah, I think maybe Krzysztof has some content blocker, maybe. So, by the way, we have the default stack, which consists of a shell. So the end users are able to spin up on a terminal session right away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like so. So. Yeah, I think we are on mobile, and that might be the issue here. Since these are definitely works. Yeah, so this is the VS Code, which I started previously. And this is a shell. This is my shell, actually. So
actually what I wanted to highlight here is no need to know what SSH is even. There was just one click, and you were in a shell. And László and I are teaching, as Sandeep alluded to, some crypto classes as well, where we also demystify the command line. A lot of the things when you see in hacker movies, hackers typing on the command line, but actually anyone can do that. So it's not hard, and here we just make it available to you right out of the box.
Yeah, and we are on mobile, so that's the reason everything loads slowly. So us in the presentation, we said we ship everything with pre-made monitoring and Grafana templates. These templates are also shipped like infrastructure as a code, kinda. So you not just get the raw Grafana templates, but you get the scripts which are actually building them. The lab itself came with a fully configured SSO. So the lab can act as an IDP for your other project as well, since we use CASDOR. And yeah, so these applications are started for my lab. This is not part of the default installation, but I'm interested in workflow engines, for example. And right now I have a mini AI lab as well. These stacks are actually managed by a simple script called Docky, where we ship the Docker Compose files. And we also created a set of scripts, let's say that, which read labels from these composer files. So you can define icons, and the ingress routes can be set. The packages are auto updates, and so on. So these are under the hood. And as I said, you can get away by just using Portainer, for example, where we also ship more than 500 pre-configured applications.
And you notice SSO was just at work. So there was just a button, a click away, and László logged into the system right there.
So here, oh, I see the same on the screen. Okay. So here you see we have like 500 applications pre-configured. So for example, if you don't really want to understand what's going under the hood, you can still able to launch, let's say, AutoBrr, which is a very interesting and funny software. And these templates are automatically pre-configured for the lab itself. It contains the icons, the ingress controller configuration, the mappings of the folder. So this is which usually you need to read the manual and the documentation and fiddle with the settings. Here, if I would be brave enough, but I'm not, I would just press the deploy the container button, and after a couple of seconds on the dashboard, the icon will just pop up and you are good to go. In Grafana, we also aggregate the logs and the metrics. So in some cases, you will even have a dashboard for it. So you are able to monitor the resource usage of your lab. By the way, the lab is designed in a way that you can get away with very minimal resources, so even on a Raspberry Pi, or if you have a beefy server or a cloud environment, you can scale it as your pocket allows that. Basically, that's it. We have all kinds of interesting things going under the hood, which you can check on the documentation. So, for example, we have by default intrusion prevention systems in place, auto updates and security settings here and there. So it's a work in progress, but as we said, everything is accessible through GitHub. And we also had a lot of commits already.
Amazing demo, László, and we even finished a few minutes early. So any questions, any curveballs, anything that is inspiring from the audience? We left you speechless, I see.
You did.
All right. Well then, László, back to you.
Yes, thanks. If I add some remarks, thank you very much for this insightful presentation. I really liked it. Let me just give a practical remark from the employer point of view. So I think what you are doing is very good. We can call it an initiative, but maybe it's better to call it as a mission. So congratulations. Because from the employer point of view, what we are doing, for example, at the University of Pécs, I am the head of cybersecurity center and cybersecurity knowledge at the university. So we are always started to recruit colleagues from the first of all from the market, but we always want to have people who is already ready and has a knowledge and has experience, but it's not possible. Or if you can find some people with this typical knowledge, it costs a lot. But we changed our mind, and we try to look at the young ones who just finished their studies. And I think this is a very good idea, what you prepared at our university as well, together with Peter, that you provide framework, you provide a knowledge base, you provide the tool sets, everything for the students. And after a couple of weeks, couple of months, they will be able to run different projects. And at the end of the day, as we are as the university, I will be more than happy to welcome these guys at my department. So thank you very much. I think this is very crucial nowadays. And another thing what I wanted to mention, that this kind of labs is so it's not common nowadays. You cannot find these labs like yours on the market or available for free or just to play around. Yeah, this is what I wanted to add, and I think is very good. So congratulations again.
Thank you very much. And I think everybody's ready to take a lunch break. So with that, we'll see you guys after lunch.